Hello Titans, today we're going to start a new project and we're going to use Illustrator to do it. And this project is going to be all about patterns. So patterns, especially line patterns, are where we're going to start. So this video is going to explain to you how to make them and how to use them. Now I just want to add that while I'm opening this, you're going to see something that looks similar to one of your older projects. It's not the same project, so just relax. And you're going to be like, Mr. Cier, we already did this project. But this is not the project that you did before. However, there are some repeated elements. For one, we're going to be using the pen tool because we're going to be creating lines. That's what you do when we create lines in Illustrator. Just like in Miss Malloy's class, if you had a second project where you draw something, you usually don't have one project where you draw with pencil throughout the entire 4 years that you're with her. So you're going to repeat some things with me too. So here we have zigzags and we have some wavy lines. These are all examples of line patterns. And I'm going to show you how to make them. Now, the main difference between last year is that we're going to make a pattern in a way that we actually measure and make sure everything looks as perfect as any of these. Each of these lines have an exact amount of space between them, and you can tell that it's a repeated line. Repeating of something, repeating of one of the elements of art is by definition what a pattern means. So we're going to want to have those repeated spaces or repeated lines. All right, so first thing is to go to File New and set up our file. This is a very specific one that you're going to have to make. So I'm going to call this my last name, my first name, my grade. We're going to call it 7. And this is going to be View in Patterns. This is actually going to be part 1. So you'll notice I changed the number of artboards to 9. I have this selected. I have 3 columns, and these are, first of all, they're in inches. Change it to inches first before you put in the numbers 4 and 4 as our width and height. And you're going to have a page that looks something like this. All right, so the reason that we have such a strange page is this is going to be where we're going to make patterns. To make patterns, you have to make a grid. And formerly, I used to show a way that would bring up our rulers by going to View, Show Rulers, and then you'll see rulers over here and over here. And if you use your selection tool, you could drag guides down and make sure that they're on like these little areas here. And basically, you'd make a grid that way. You'd keep doing this and you'd have to make sure it was perfect. So I'm going to Command Z all this because I actually found a much easier way. I did some research and I found an easier way to make a grid pattern. I'm going to show you how to do that. So Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. So for this tutorial, you're not going to need to show these rulers, but if you want them there, you can have them there too. The first thing we're going to do is go to this tool right here, which is the rectangle tool. And while holding Shift, we're just going to trace one of our artboards. So we're going to make sure it's selected, and we're going to go to Object, Path, and Split into Grid. That's going to bring this up, and basically we want it to be an 8x8 grid. We want the gutters to be 0, so I'm going to make these 0. And we're going to preview it so you can see what it would look like. And basically, these numbers should automate at this point because it's 8x8, so therefore it has to be, assuming that you made the box exactly correctly, these numbers should be the ones that you have. I'm going to add guides to it as well, and then I'm going to press OK. Now, when I click and release over here, I have my grid. So this is the way that I made my simple grid. I'm also going to go ahead and select the whole thing and Command G. And then Object Lock it just in case, because we don't need it to move. All right, so now that it's locked, this is a complete grid, and you're able to go to the next video, which is going to show you what we're going to fill these grids with. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this short tutorial. I'm glad I was able to make an easier way for you guys to do this. Leave appropriate feedback if you wish.